Matthew Mali, Andrew Mali, in the Sarvodaya movement in Sri Lanka, which means everyone wakes up together on that beautiful island republic. They're Buddhist inspired. And to use a kinship term, Mali means little brother. And I guess all the men in this room are my little brothers. I think I'm the oldest person here. But that's only relative when you think of my true age and yours. 3.7 billion years? Or no, it's 14 billion years, this universe. When we did the hand meditation, I hope you registered your true age. So I would like to thank you for bringing your wisdom and affirming my existence. And it is a great, it's like, I feel like I'm having a spiritual bath. I bet you all, don't you feel that a little bit? Like, I want to tell you the story of my friend Arnie Gundersen. Arnie was a nuclear engineer, is a nuclear engineer and manager, and was the manager of several nuclear power plants in New England and New York. When he was directing one in Massachusetts, he noticed that there were leaks that were contaminating the underground water and the waterways in the area, and he called his attention to the larger company that was running it, and got nothing but looking the other way and cover up. We've heard about that. And so, but he knew that we have this government, and that the government has created a nuclear regulatory commission. And so that was what he went to call their attention to this problem, that he couldn't get the staff and the larger company that he was working for as he managed this plant to address. And the result was that they broke him. They took away his job, and they took away his property, and they took away his savings, and they tried to wipe him out. I don't think there were attempts on his life, but attempts on his reputation and on his material security and his hopes for providing for his family for the future. And his wife, who was has been and continues to be a wonderful helpmeet, a wonderful partner, and they moved to Burlington, Vermont, where some of you know there's some wonderful things happening in Vermont. And among them is the effort to close a leaking nuclear reactor station called Vermont Yankee. Just a minute, I want to find my water. Is it behind me? No, but I just brought mine.
There.
Oh, there it is. Thank you, dear. So they founded a little energy education, nuclear education effort, called it Fair Winds. And I remember a letter from him after he had gone down and he was being consulted as an expert witness to look at the new model of a reactor that was being created and the part of the nuclear renaissance that many loud voices in our culture are promoting as the answer, that we won't have any problems with reactors such as this. And I can't remember the name of it, but he went and his pointing out the difficulties with it, the built-in problems were not heard because of the huge power of money and the fact that the government, particularly under this administration, where the president comes from a very nuclearized state of Illinois, they're totally in bed with each other, the nuclear industry and the regulatory powers of the government. So he was very discouraged. And I remember his writing a letter, and Anne will remember because she read it with me. And he said, I'm trying to be a good Shambhala warrior, but I get so discouraged. People don't want to see the truth. And what is more discouraging, say I parenthetically, than to keep trying to point out what you see so clearly, what should be so obvious, and it doesn't seem anybody's hearing.
Describing my life.
Yeah. And yet that is the most critical part, what we're given to do. If there's any medicine for us in this time, it is the medicine of speaking truth. No matter because there will be those who hear. But we mustn't give up. Well, at any rate, you'll say, Joanna, what does he mean? Shambhala, warrior. So I want to tell you what Arnie was referring to. Arnie had been to a workshop with me in New England where I had told, as I do in every workshop and class I teach. So it's good I get an excuse to bring it in here. A prophecy from the Tibetan Buddhist tradition. And the prophecy that he had heard that I had told was one that I had received from dear friends, Tibetan refugee friends who've settled for the last 40 years in northwest India, in a community called Tashichon. And they've had a very beautiful relationship. We've felt the beauty of it, the moral beauty of it, and the sheer delight of it, and my family and myself ever since I met them when I was over in India with the Peace Corps in the 1960s. And so I had received from them their version, the version of Dugu Chogyal Rinpoche, my Dharma brother and best friend there, of this 12th century old prophecy from the Kala Chakra Tantra. So it's about Kala Chakra, the great time. And in this, I haven't read the Tibetan, I can't read Tibetan, but this is the version that Dugu Chogyal Rinpoche gave me and that Arnie heard me speak. Now, you will, as you hear me say it, you will probably recognize that the term, the character in it, Shambhala warrior, is a metaphor for the bodhisattva who knows and trusts the Buddha nature, or as we could say, the cosmic Christ within her or him. And they wanted me to hear this because they said it seems that this prophecy is coming true in this generation. Here it is, 1,200 years old, and it seems that it is this generation. It seems that it is this generation that it's coming true in. You want to hear it?
Yeah. Well,
There comes a time when all life on earth is in danger. In this time, barbarian powers have arisen. And although they have much in common, wait, how does it go? Just a second. And they are in these barbarian powers have arisen, have, although they enjoy prosperity in their terms, they are threatening all life on earth with unfathomable devastation and death, although they have much in common with each other. What they have in common are these weapons of unfathomable death and devastation and technologies that lay waste the world. Now, it is just in this time when the future of all life on earth hangs by the frailest of threads that the kingdom of Shambhala emerges. Now, you can't go there because it's not a place. It's not a geopolitical entity. It exists in the hearts and minds of the Shambhala warriors. And truth to tell, you can't tell a Shambhala warrior by looking at her or him because there are no uniforms, no insignia, no identifying banners, no barricades on which they can stand to threaten the enemy or behind which they can rest and recoup. They don't even have any home turf. Forever and always they must move across the terrain of the barbarian powers. And then he said, Joanna, in this moment we're arriving at great courage is required of the Shambhala warriors. Moral courage and physical courage, because they are going to go into the heart of the barbarian powers to dismantle the weapons. Weapons in every sense of the word. To dismantle the armaments that are where they're fabricated and deployed to enter the corridors of power where the decisions are made, and dismantle the weapons of mind and hand. And he said, Joanna, mark this. The Shambhala warriors know that these weapons can be destroyed because they are manomaya. That means mind-made. They are made by the human mind, so they can be unmade by the human mind. Because the dangers that are coming upon us are not from some satanic evil deity or some vicious extraterrestrial force, or even from some inalterable predestined fate. They arise from our choices, from our relationships, from our habits, from the ways we see and have chosen to see. They are made by the human mind, they can be unmade by the human mind. So he said, now is the time that the Shambhala warriors go into training. It matters, how do they train? And he said, they train in the use of two weapons. That's actually the term he used, weapons. What are they, I asked. And he held up his hands the way the lamas hold the ritual objects in the great lama dances of his people. And he said, one is compassion, and the other is insight into the radical interdependence of all phenomena. And you need both. You need the compassion because it provides the fuel, the motive force to move you out where you need to go to do what you need to do. And what it boils down to is not being afraid of the suffering of your world or of yourself. And when you're not afraid of that pain, nothing can stop you.
Right.
But he said, by itself, that weapon is very hot. It can burn you out. So you need the other, that insight into our interexistence in the web of life. With that, you know that this is not a battle between the good guys and the bad guys.
It's true.
But that the line between good and evil runs through the landscape of every human heart. And with that, you know that even the smallest act with clear intention has repercussions through the web that you cannot even see, let alone measure. So that's a little cool, little abstract, you know, so you need the heat of the compassion. They need each other. And as he said those words, I realized that that's in the puja hall where I saw the monks chanting the scriptures. Their hands were often moving. You've seen the moving mudras, and likely as not, they're dancing the interplay between compassion and wisdom. They're also called the two wings on which the Bodhisattva flies in the deep space of the mother of all Buddhas. Well, that's the prophecy. I felt I'd been given my marching orders. My family was with me as I was visiting that time. This was in 1980. I'd gone back, go back every few years. And I rushed down the hill to where they were. I was joining them for supper, and I burst in, and I said, "You won't believe what I've just heard from Chujat Rinpoche." And I told them the prophecy. And I remember Jack, he was there, the one who'd written the paper on nuclear power pollution, and he listened and he said, "But Mom, didn't he tell you how it's going to turn out?" And I laughed too, and I'm so glad you laughed. I said, "Honey, if Chucho had tried to tell me how it's going to turn out, I wouldn't have believed any of what he said." And don't you believe anyone who tells you how it's going to turn out. Don't you believe the people who say, "Don't worry, everything's going to be fine"? And don't you believe the people who say there's no hope? Kick back. No, it's that exquisite razor edge of uncertainty that keeps us awake. So Arnie comes back from the meeting at the Department of Energy where a new model of nuclear reactors is being presented, and he sees how voices of caution and safety and pointing out the failures don't want to be heard. And he writes, "I still want to be a Shambhala warrior, but I'm very discouraged." So I guess one lesson there is don't worry about being discouraged. Who isn't discouraged?
I did. Good luck.
And now fast forward.
Thank you.
Tomorrow morning in New York, the Helen Caldicott Foundation and the Physicians for Social Responsibility are calling an international symposium on the effects of Fukushima, which blew that triple disaster 2 years ago tomorrow of the earthquake, the tsunami, and the triple and possibly quadruple meltdown. The most disastrous nuclear catastrophe ever known. And it is still continuing. And what happened 2 years ago was that Arnie Gundersen was there. He had not at Fukushima, but he was there in Vermont. But he had all this knowledge. He had run nuclear reactors. And he proceeded on his website with videos, and the students came and helped him from UVM and elsewhere. That was the voice you went to find out what was happening. As the people around the country and the people in Japan wanted to know what was at risk and what was happening. It was, likely as not, the website of Fair Winds and Arnie Gundersen. And he would be talking, and he would be explaining as a genius of a teacher. And he would explain what it means when you lose the cooling water in to the fuel rods. He would explain what the encasement, what the stupidity, horrifying stupidity of General Electric's Mark I reactor, where you put the storage pool on top of the reactor. But he did it without irony. He's this very simple, warm, not simple, but so straightforward. So it's fairwinds.com or .net or .org. Which is it?
I don't want to, but FAIR.
Yeah, but you'll find it. So he is so trusted that the Japanese people made a Japanese version, have made, of his website. And they're keeping it up so that people in Japan can see what's happening. He has become a Shambhala warrior. And there are people who listen to him and who are able to do what they can. And they're not going to be stopped to see to the protection of not only Japan, but the Pacific, the West Coast. And this truth-speaking is needed because our government is not interested in our knowing. They're not interested in telling us what is in the air, in the milk, in the food, even here on the West Coast. You know that.
Mm-hmm.
So the Bodhisattva Shambhala warrior has the courage and the caring to speak the truth. And he will be speaking tomorrow morning, along with some wonderful people who are motivated. They could say, forget about it. We can't get anywhere with the governments. Look at what the policies of the American government. Look at Japan, for heaven's sakes, where they are taking the radioactive debris, and they call it sharing the burden, and they're trucking it around the country to be incinerated. I kid you not. And you could say, if you were a little suspicious, say, that means nobody can sue them about, this, so that everybody suffers from this. Okay, so I want to say in reference to finding a spiritual base, finding a deep time base or a deep well of peace and belonging out of which you can act. And this has often through the ages been seen as a rhythm, that you go into retreat and then come out, that you go to the mountaintop and then descend in the valley. And I'm finding in this, I love this phrase, Andrew, of the ADD society, hyperactive and scattered and distracted, that more and more of us are finding that we just don't have time for that. So, but you don't give it up. You blend the bodhisattva heart and clear seeing in the actions you're doing. this meditation in action. You learn to see each other. You learn to look at somebody and see behind them, through your moral imagination, their ancestors. How they're stretching back to the horizon. There are their ancestors who carried them in them like a seed and would give them the strength today, the strength and the smarts and the wiliness to serve life. You look at somebody and then, do a meditation in that moment. You imagine that the future is looking through your eyes. You lend your eyes to a being of the future who would love to look back through time and see someone who actually was taking part in the great turning to a life-sustaining society. Yeah. I hear stories about them. Let me see the face just for a moment of an ancestor back then in the early years of the third millennium. I'd like to see him. And so you pretend you're seeing someone with the cherishing gratitude that the future would have for them as they hear and discover that they're Shambhala warriors are cosmic Christ. You can build this into your life at any moment. You can build it into your breath. Oh, sweet breath. No one in this room is not breathing. Whatever you're doing, you're breathing. But wait a minute. Who's breathing? Whoa. Who's beating my heart? A life is breathing me that breathed the first cellular creatures, that breathed the orcas and the whales as they surge through the seas, that breathed through the mammals, and breathed through the first people. And you know that you are being breathed by life. And you're here trusting and resting in that. So you can rest into being alive then, even in danger. And if you don't have time to go sit at your altar, you make an altar of every, of every.
This took the damn thing off.
No. This is a beautiful scarf, and it's the temporary gift of Barbara for our...
Sorry, that was it.
So I can do home right at this minute. So I would like to close this with a poem. It's a poem by Rainer Maria Rilke from his Book of Hours, written about 100 years ago, 110 years ago. God speaks to each of us as he makes us, then walks with us silently out of the night. What are the words we dimly hear? Now it's God speaking. You sent out beyond your recall. Go to the limits of your longing. Go to the limits of your longing. Embody me. Flare up like flame and make big shadows I can move in. Let everything happen to you. Beauty and terror. Let everything happen to you. Beauty and terror. Just keep going. No feeling is final. Don't let yourself lose me. Nearby is the country they call life. Nearby, you'll know it by its seriousness. Nearby is the country they call life. You'll know it by its seriousness. Give me your hand.
Oh.
Yes.